as he already mentioned, that to achieve the goal in the short time is crucial. So during the time 1997 to 2004, Mr. Lee has visited so many so-called top masters, or the best or the most well-known masters in the world, in order to find the speedy way, the most fastest way to achieve the goal. The one most important master, the teacher who changed his life, is Khenpo Tsuchrim Lodro from Tibet. In the end of year 2004, during the 7 days they spent together, they were debating, and Mr. Lee was arguing with him. He said, "We have learned so many Buddhism already. I should have, I should have achieved the goal faster." But Tsuchrim Lodro Khenpo convinced him, even though you know so much, but you never did real practice. So you have to start all over again. But Mr. Lee didn't want to start over again because that takes time. But after that 7 days, he was convinced, because knowing the theory doesn't mean that you can do it. Just like you read the books 100 times to know how to fly the plane, you never fly the plane. So over those 20 years, he was followed Khenpo Tsuchrim Lodro's instructions to practice step by step. So he found that it's quite helpful. You have to start practicing step by step. Then around year 2010-11, because his wife and daughter were inspired to learn meditation and Buddhism, and he didn't want them to go through what he has done. He didn't want them to go through all the detours and took so much time. Then he discovered that Mingyur Rinpoche's teaching, it's so concise and very pithy, very clear, and such joyful attitude, joyful spirit is really influential for people. And he found this quite happy to find this 8 levels of practice that you can practice all the 84,000, the essence of 84,000 teachings of the Buddha. You may, if you work hard enough, you can get it done in 4 years. So practice and only knowing the theory is totally different thing. So Mr. Lee eventually found that Mingyur Rinpoche's teaching represents all the essence of Buddha's teachings, especially for modern people who would like to know about Buddhism, like a big picture, is very helpful. What Buddhism is about, how we can approach this true freedom and true happiness. So he's been following Mingyur Rinpoche for 15 years. So he takes both Nyingma and Gaju lineage teachings.
So I'm curious, you've been alluding to the joy of living. I think many people watching this have probably practiced the joy of living teachings, or maybe they currently are practicing the joy of living. And I know that you yourself have done the joy of living 3 times and have probably listened to it, offline many times beyond that. I'm curious if you could talk specifically about the joy of living and what you found helpful about that, or why you think these teachings might be useful for your own life or for the world at this time.
开心禅1呢，其实对我听过很多次，就是面对面都学过3、4次。那最主要的是，在今天的世界，很多人都想打坐、冥想等等等等。那开心禅1明就尼布舍就教了你大约有12种或者10几种的工具，这样也可以 meditate， 这样也可以。但是最重要的是觉知，你知道你在用，现在在做耳朵的禅修语言的禅修看眼睛的禅修，这些禅修其实只是一个工具。你知道你有了10几种工具，那么你就随时随地任何的时间都可以运用，每一天都可以运用。而最重要的就是那个觉知。如果没有觉知，那个只是一个休息，让心休息而已。所以最简单的也是最难的，最难的后边其实就是那么简单，有点像太容易了我们会忘掉， 有点像我们的眉毛离我们的眼睫毛离我们眼睛太近了，所以我看不到眼睫毛。练武术也是这样，练到最后，我们有一句话就是说，知一，如果一门经，一个经，一万个都精。那么知道所有的技巧，只要你带着觉知，那就是一切。在目前相对的世界里，可以这么说。当然，我们没有说到究竟的那一步，那个比较难解释。
For joy of living, even level 1, Mr. Lee has taken many times. Even in person, he has taken 3-4 times in front of Ming Rinpoche. For the modern world nowadays, people tend to see the importance of sitting, taking meditation, but joy of living truly presented the tools, at least 12 tools, 12 techniques that Rinpoche has taught in level 1. But the most important is awareness, this knowing quality of mind. No matter what we do, when you're speaking, when you're looking at something, when you're hearing the sound, you can bring this awareness into what you're doing. You know what you're doing. So this tool is meditation. And you can bring this tool to anytime, anywhere, whatever you do. This is the most important, most crucial thing, that if you have to call it technique in the joy of living. Otherwise, if you do not know the awareness, your sitting or meditation is just relaxing, just bliss out. So this is, but awareness is the most simple, also at the meanwhile the most difficult. It's just like our eyelashes. It's too close, you cannot see. It's too easy, you don't believe that you can do it. You have it, you are it. It's like something in wushu, the martial arts too. At last, when you achieve that level, you know the techniques, you know the most essential thing, you know that one, then you can apply to 10,000 different weapons, different movements, right? So the technique is different, but the essence, just awareness. That's the most important thing, at least for the relative world, for the relative practice, not talking about the ultimate level, which is difficult to explain at this moment.
So that actually is a great lead into a question that came from our audience, from someone who's watching right now. And they asked if you could give some advice for someone who's just starting out on their spiritual journey. Where do you think is the best place for somebody to get started if they're, just a normal person who has a job and perhaps a family? How can they get started?
我想第一个还是要解决那个 motivation 那个动机和目标。我个人也听了很多的人有兴趣，但是不知道从何入手。那其实首先我想分享一点点，就是说我们每一个人都希望健康和快乐。那健康更多的是指身体，那快乐更多的是心理。所以有点像一个手机和它的里边的芯卡云端一个硬的一个软的。那健康不用太多讲，每个人大概都知道，不同的年龄，不同的文化，应当吃什么，怎么运动，怎么保持自己的适合自己年龄的那个运动，保持身体很好，那个是可以训练的，而且大部分人都知道一些。但是对于心理的训练，怎么样快乐，这个讲的比较少。但是其实心是可以被训练，我们现在的心有点不能自主，有点像打工的，不是老板。因为什么？外面有一个好吃的东西，我们就被吸引去了，结果他吃好吃的是老板，我们就变成打工的。好看的包包也是，好听的声音也是，所以一切都是主人都在外面，我们是一个像奴隶，像一个 worker 一样，所以我们的脉整天都不开心，因为我们不了解它，我们不能控制它。其实开心禅教了很多的方法，从那里开始。 你不需要有很深的或者很远的目标，说我要想超越生死之类的，只是生活有 quality， 就有质量。我希望健康，那你知道那些常识，多少卡路里啊，多少这个，你知道快乐就是心是可以被训练的，跟他做朋友，了解他，看着他，他慢慢的就会变成主人，不受外面的，一点一点的啊，慢慢的创造一个新的习惯，他就自己可以做主，而不被外面的一切吸引走，而他们是主人。我们当然要做生命的主人，所以一开始我要做生命的主人，那我知道怎么样健康，我希望我也知道怎么快乐。
First of all, also the motivation, as we already talked about, then the goal. But people have different interests. People nowadays, many people have interest in meditation, but you need to find yourself a accessible way and feasible way that you can do that. So here, Mr. Lee just shared his own ideas with these two parts of happiness that it can create a better life. One is the health part, like the physical, and the happiness that's more mental. So it's sort of like the cell phone. You have a hardware, you have software. So the cell phone, you must to use it for fun. You can use it skillfully. You need to develop the software, not only just the hardware. So as normal modern people, you based on your own culture, your background, your experience, you find a good way to maintain the health. You do exercise, you intake good food, and you can train your body to be healthy. But how about the mind? How you can maintain that inner happiness? But mind can be trained too. So this is the first thing we need to know. But right now, before training the mind, we are all the slave of our own mind. We are like employee, and our mind is like the boss. We have to follow the mind. When the mind was distracted, was unhappy about the external phenomena, we couldn't feel real happy. So starting with the basic, like joy of living level 1, we learn different kind of methods. Not talking about going beyond that life and death, that kind of high goal, just a quality life. You can have this basic understanding of your mind. Find the true happiness can come from within. Then you can be your own master. Your mind can listen to you, can follow you. So we gradually, through meditation, gradually establish a habit, and without being distracted all the time by external phenomena. And then you can find this balance of healthy physical being and happy mind.
So a lot of what you've been talking about is really touches upon the very practical aspect of these teachings, how they help our ordinary life. And I have a memory that I'm guessing you probably don't remember, but I will remember my whole life, which was really inspiring to me. And it happened actually when we were driving a few years ago from Minneapolis, Minnesota in the United States to Madison, Wisconsin. So it was like a 5-hour drive. And you might remember we were with Mingyu Rinpoche and your daughter Jada, and we were driving through the Midwest of the United States. So we were driving through all of these small towns, and we had to stop and get lunch at one point. And we ended up at this mall, like kind of an old mall, and there was a food court, and there was really not many places to eat in this town. So we ended up there, and we walked in, and you ended up getting a meal at a little Chinese restaurant in this food court. And it was a funny experience because you could see the Chinese family that were running the restaurant. They were looking at you and thinking, that looks a lot like Jet Li. And you could see them kind of talking to each other and looking at you and thinking, no, it couldn't be Jet Li. We're in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, in this small town. It's obviously not Jet Li. And it was this funny experience just observing this interaction and their confusion. But what was inspiring to me is it was actually your humility, that you walked into this mall and clearly these people, would have recognized who you are. And it was like your bearing, your demeanor was just humble and just very kind of ordinary. And I saw that throughout this period where we were together with Mingyur Rinpoche on these retreats, and all sorts of people were seeing you and thinking, oh, that's Jet Li. And you were, just a very, not kind of acting like a big show. And that got me thinking of something I wanted to ask you about, is how you've worked with pride as an experience, because of course there's very few people on the planet who are, a huge movie star in China, in Europe, in the United States, really throughout the entire world. And so I imagine that it's easy to develop a lot of pride through that, not to mention, of course, your martial arts championship. So I'm curious how you've worked with that. What has it been like working with pride within your own spiritual practice? Has that been an issue? And if so, how have you worked with that through your meditation?
Before the meditation,我是喜欢思考的人。其实，在别人的眼中你是什么，和你自己去想你是什么是两件事。我很年轻的时候也挣扎过。那当我看到历史几千年的历史当中，那在几千年当中有很多有很成就的人，我们先不要说那些皇帝了、哲学家了、画家了、诗歌呀、科学呀，在那个时空中他们都非常了不起。我们只是在这100年当中，这几十年当中的，在某一个行业中有点成绩而世界知道而已。但是我知道自己，你把浓缩在时空中、空间和时间里边，你什么也不是，你根本就我们普通话呀，你是哪根葱啊？你什么也不是，你非常的渺小，几乎很难找到。就像你在遥远的太空去望地球，那里是有80亿人，但是在外太空来看，你就是一个 dust， 就是一个小土渣。再远了，出了银河系，你连土渣都没有。你在那个土渣都没有的那么小的沙子都没有的世界里头，在某一个领域里、某一个行业里、在某一个时间里有一点点不同而已，而且是别人喜欢你给你的名义，你算啥？你什么也不是。我一早就知道自己什么也不是。所以佛教当然你从宏观上和微观上看都找不到你是什么，连皇帝我们都记不住有多少，何况你呢？哇，你又啥也不是。
And way before Mr. Li started practicing meditation, he's a person that likes to think, to contemplate. He already realized that who you are in your own perception and in other people's eyes could be totally different things. So in younger age, he struggled to find who he really was. But he likes to think over the past thousands of years in the history, there are many great people, many politicians, artists, poets, or scholars, scientists. They were so famous. They were so great in their own fields. But after looking through all these years, but they're just famous in their own field, in that space, the particular space and time. So at that moment, he already realized that you should know who you are. You know yourself. You are actually nobody. You are just in this industry. You're in this time and space. There's some people like you. That makes your fame, your reputation. But if you look in a bigger picture on this planet, we have 80 billion people, or the bigger world. Then you start from the solar system, you see the Earth. You're just a dust. You're nobody. And from the even outer space, you look into you even cannot be seen. So knowing who you are is crucial. And from that moment, he already realized that he's not really, he couldn't say just, he's nobody, or yeah, in English maybe we say that, but in Chinese we have a funny way to describe it. You're just not worth mentioning as a piece of onion, So in Buddhism we have this big teachings about to find we are nobody. There's no solid entity of who I am, this me. So he already kind of went beyond that kind of fame could delude people.
That's wonderful. Another thing you've been mentioning, Jet, is the importance of compassion. And there's a number of questions that people have written in that are touching upon the importance of compassion and how compassion relates both to meditation practice and martial arts. So I wonder, combining some of the different questions people have written in, if you could just comment a little bit about the role that compassion has played in your own life, whether in your own training as a martial artist, in the work you do as an actor, and especially the one thing we really haven't spoken much about, which is the work you've done as a philanthropist and a humanitarian through your foundation, all that you've done, to help survivors of the tsunami and other tragedies. So I wonder if you could just talk about how compassion can really inform our life, whether it's our outer life in our careers or our inner life in meditation.
这个话题也蛮大的，因为慈悲来讲，我们作为一个人从开始修行的时候，就3个阶段，其实学习佛法就3个阶段，一个是出离心，一个是菩提心，一个证悟空性。那么有了出离心想改变，那么就有菩提心。那菩提心刚开始大家做不到，我也做不到，那就是愿菩提心吧，就是发愿，希望哪个人都离苦，希望哪个人都快乐，我们每天都要念这愿菩提心。那第2个阶段就行菩提道，叫做什么，要有所行动，做什么。那第3个是圣意菩提心，大家可能比较难理解。那我自己的体会，一基金我做了的时候就是行菩提道而已。作为一个修行人，我就去做一个行菩提道。其实我的体会最重要的不是你帮了什么，大家都觉得我是一个好人，我是一个佛教徒，所以我帮了，我要做这个，我要帮那个。我们一基金20年来也做了大约50亿人民币的捐款，做这个全家人加在一起整个社会完了也帮了3000多万人，这个只是一个数字。对于我来讲，做菩提行菩提道，就是在帮别人的时候，其实要达到的目的，消灭自我，消灭自我的中心，消灭自我。经过菩提道的最终结果是把自己看得越来越小，越来越小，才能进入到第3步，了解空性。那么愿菩提心，行菩提道的目的，那究竟的菩提心，当然究竟就不用再讲了，比较难讲了。但是它是一个很自然的事情，不用那么想的那么高尚那么伟大，没有什么。我记得一个宁波车开玩笑的在讲，菩提心慈悲心就像你到厕所屁和拉屎就是一样，该做就做了，那么简单的事情，不值得歌颂，也不值得表扬，因为你需要就做，应当感谢那些人给我的机会去行菩提道。
Compassion is also a big topic to talk here within such short time here. But overall, in practical path, we first of all need to learn about the renunciation. Then we learn about loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta. Then after this, you can talk about learn and practice and realize emptiness. Of course, in the beginning, everyone found it difficult to develop true loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta. But we learn every day. We recite the prayers every day. We try to contemplate and reflect. We have this aspiration to help all the sentient beings, and we have this aspiration, and we put in action. So bodhicitta has this, on the relative level, has aspiration bodhicitta and application bodhicitta. After this, too, we approach the ultimate bodhicitta. So during the time that Mr. Lee was running the Wang Foundation, his idea and aspiration is to help people like the bodhisattvas do. So what you are doing is actually not so important. Not talking about this over 20 years, of course, by number, we have accumulated 5 billion Chinese dollars. We have helped over 30 million people. But doing all this, the only goal is to really see through this delusion of me. Without having this realization, we cannot achieve the enlightenment of emptiness, the realization of emptiness. So when we do this aspiration and application bodhicitta, putting action, everything just comes naturally. We don't consider noble, so supreme to have bodhicitta. Mr. Lee even remembers one Rinpoche joked about bodhicitta, loving kindness, compassion. It's just like using the toilet. It's as normal as using toilet. It's not something that you praise about and you feel yourself being so great. It's just natural. It's from our own being, our own nature.
We have a lot of questions, people who are watching right now who are practicing martial arts, and you can see it's many different kinds of martial arts. And one of the themes that I see across many questions is why and how meditation is important for those who are practicing martial arts. Why should somebody in their training as a martial artist pay attention and make time for meditation practice?
Oh, that's a big question. Martial 武术呢有很多种，首先大家要分清楚啊，这个武术呢有运动的，作为运动员去比赛到champion拿冠军的，武术呢也有人练的，他的为的目的呢就是拍电影、电视、舞台表演的，有一些呢练武就是为了强身健体，这是我的goal，所以goal要很清楚。这是第一个，还有就擂台对抗，这4种，首先你要选择哪一种。那么第二个就是，我觉得最重要的可能是，比较难谈吧。我比较喜欢谈的是。在我小的时候都会最喜欢的就是说，身体的技能最好的，在我们古代三国的时候，那个是吕布，但是因为他技术最好，但是他做人非常的差，所以呢，历史不会记住他，只是知道他是一个坏人。那个武功不是最好的，但是他有仁义，他有帮助别人，他有 honor， 所以那个。他变成叫关羽，那他变成武圣。到今天，所有练武的人还会很怀念，因为他叫武圣，就是练武的最高境界的人。所以，武术跟 meditation 有什么关系？真的看你是哪一种，以及你的目的是什么。有的时候是需要 meditation， 有的是根本不需要。meditation 更多的是技术技巧。如果你想做健康和快乐，那快乐一定要从 training mind。
There are many types of wushu, the martial arts, depending on the goal. There are competition. You as a sports, people compete and get to fight for the championship. The second type is to perform. It's like a performing artist, what the performing artists do. The third is that people practice wushu to improve their health or maintain their health, as well as someone would do the confrontation to like a fight or boxing type of wushu. So when he was young, he already considered, already learned from the history that how skillful, how strong you are in playing wushu doesn't mean that you can be a hero, you can be remembered. In one ancient Chinese history, there's one kingdom called the Three Kingdoms period. There's one guy who is very skillful, very powerful wushu player, but he's a very bad guy. This is a very poor quality, very mean. So he's never remembered as a good wushu player or the good hero. However, on the other hand, one guy called Guan Yu, he's considered the saint of martial art because even though he doesn't have the top skills in wushu, but he is a very generous, very brave, very courageous person. So he's being remembered as the saint, the sage of the martial arts. So the relationship between martial arts and meditation, you need to consider your goal. If you want to just have a health or have fame or to be famous, you might not need meditation, but you want to have a true happiness in your mind, you must practice meditation.
So we're unfortunately at the end of the time. There are so many questions that we'd love to ask, but I wonder if we could end with a piece of advice. I think so many people look up to you as a real role model and icon that we can look up to in our own lives and practice. If you were to give one piece of advice that people could keep in their hearts to remember, what would that one piece of advice be?
我听到很多人会说，当今这个社会啊，我们是非常痛苦，很多人心里都，特别是经过疫情啊，很多人心里都非常不好。我们是变成一个，在这个时代里是一个非常倒霉的时代啊，所以很痛苦，很多压力，很多挑战。但是我想说，其实不是。人类在任何一个几千年上万年的历史中，每一个人、每一个时代、每一个不同的阶层的人，都有不同的痛苦、不同的焦虑、不同的东西。不是我们这一个时代最倒霉啊，其实每一个时代都是同样的。所以世人皆苦，有没有快乐？有，但是很短。这个就要换另外一种快乐的方法，这个就是不要觉得我们是最倒霉的一个时代。那第二个呢，就是我们要做自己的主人，我觉得是比较有意思。那么做自己的主人，不管你是哪一个种族、哪一个年龄，最主要是健康和快乐。那两方面都可以。锻炼身体，身体健康了，心情也会好一点。但是我们有时候没有时间锻炼身体，但是你要知道，你为什么吃饭有时间？因为吃饭可以保住身体，这是最简单的一个概念。那么快乐，那我没有时间禅修啊，我不想禅修啊，你想快乐吗？想快乐。就要禅修，就要学会觉知。所以，当有一天你要想快乐，你一定有时间。只要你想真正快乐，你会有时间。就像你每天有吃饭的时间一样。一个是，我希望每一个这里的，在这个今天在这个屏幕前的所有的朋友。正好是中国的新年刚刚开始，所以希望每一个人都能够健康快乐，你可以把握。
Even though we are in this time, this age that suffering is so extreme, especially after COVID, everywhere we go, every time we look at the news, there's suffering. It seems that we are living a very unfortunate age. Lots of challenges, lots of stress and pressure. But looking to the history, actually, over this many years that we can remember, we can look back, every generation, every year, every era is full of suffering. We're not in the worst. So Mr. Lee hopes that people can keep that in mind. Suffering, even though suffering is universal, as long as we are human, we must experience suffering. But that's not the end of the world. We shouldn't consider that we are the most unfortunate generation. Second, he thinks it's very important to know that being your own master is very important and helpful. No matter what race, what age, health and happiness is everyone. We all want, we all look forward to. However, if your health is poor, your mood cannot be good. If you want to get good health, you must exercise. You must keep the good time and exercise. You need to do whatever you can. Just like eating the meals, you take meals, you have the time to take meals, right? That's as simple as that. If you want to really have the inner happiness, the happy mind, you must meditate. You must know about awareness. So till one day you really want to have happiness, you must find time. Just like you have time to take a meal. You want to maintain, you want to live, you want to maintain your life. If you want to have a true happiness in your mind, just like you are taking meals, you must meditate. Especially we're just entering the new lunar year, new year of in Chinese calendar, in Chinese culture. Hope everyone would look health and inner happiness the same important in their life, and everyone can build their own routine to be healthy and happy at the same time.
Thank you so much for taking this time. I know it's been incredibly inspiring for me, for everybody listening. And on behalf of Mingyur Rinpoche, who you, of course, know so well, the Tergar community, I think there's probably many people here who are following the Joy of Living teachings that you also mentioned, and all those people who are connecting with Tergar for the very first time, who are watching this now or who will watch in the future. I want to offer you a deep bow of gratitude, not only for what you've shared here, which has been incredibly meaningful, but also for the work that you've done for many, many years in your life to alleviate suffering and do so much good in the world. So again, thank you so much for taking the time. It's been an honor to have you with us. And I think we have a few announcements as well, but just wanted to end with a note of gratitude.
谢谢所有的翻译，所有的 translator， 谢谢所有的聆听的人。我只是分享我个人的感受，不代表是对的。所以呢，就回到明就尼布说的话 ，OK is OK， 不 OK is OK。Keep be healthy, happy. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Just keep in mind what Rinpoche has told us, being okay with being not okay. Everyone can work out the way. So thank you so much. And Mr. Lee is humbly expressing his sharing of experience. Doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean that would work for you, but thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, the translator.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Tsunaranrig, for translating. And thank you, Jenny, for hosting.
Yes, and I'm going to do some thank yous as well. So thank you, Cortland. Thank you, Suma Rankik, for translating. Thank you for everyone behind the scenes who's made these events possible, all my colleagues, and a big thank you again from everybody on behalf of all the audience. Thank you, Jet Li. So before we all go, we have got some information from Tergar. So if Mr. Lee, you want to leave now, you can, but I'm going to ask one of my colleagues to share some slides, and we'll give you some Tergar news here. Thank you. Okay, so if you are new to Tergar, new to meditation, or if you've been practicing for a while but want to deepen your experience, the Joy of Living program is the perfect place to start. So it's designed by Mingyur Rinpoche, and the program offers a structured, authentic path to take you from cultivating basic awareness to profound insight into the nature of reality. And we've got some exciting news. So now you can experience the Joy of Living program live and together with the Joy of Living Level 1 cohort. So the Level 1 cohort is a 6-month guided journey designed to help you truly integrate the teachings into your life. And through the live sessions every Saturday, expert guidance and a supportive community, you'll explore the teachings step by step, ensuring a solid foundation to your meditation practice. Next slide, please. So the Joy of Living program has been transforming the lives of thousands of students who are practicing with us. And you can see here Evan, who shared his testimonial. These meditations have been really beneficial in my ability to express love towards others, even in small ways. And as I've opened up more, my ability to be happy for others or grateful for others' freedom from suffering is slowly shifting my own worldview. So the next slide, please. And research has shown that practicing in a group greatly improves the chances of building lasting habits. Community is the heart of growth. And while teachers guide us and the path provides direction, it's the support of a community that keeps us inspired and moving forward. And that's why we've created this cohort initiative to bring the power of community to life and Joy of Living online. Through the live sessions with Tergar guides and a WhatsApp group, you'll stay connected, share insights and grow together. So the live sessions start on February the 22nd, and they take place every Saturday. So you can take this opportunity to deepen your practice, your meditation practice with the support of experienced guide, clear structure and a vibrant community. And you can join us at joy.tergar.org/connect. And that link should be also in your chat, whether you're on Zoom or YouTube. And finally, last slide. And if you want to support future events like this with Tergar, you can donate by clicking on the QR code there, or the link should be in your chat shortly. And then finally, as we come to the end, I just want to say thank you, all of you, for coming along to this my meditation journey with Jet Li, and we really look forward to seeing you again in the future. So bye-bye from myself and all my colleagues at Tergar.
Hello, thank you everyone for watching. Have a nice day, good weekend. Bye-bye here.